few years back, the word woke became a popular term to criticize recently released video games, movies, and TV shows. The word means a lot of things to a lot of different people. If you ask 100 different anti-woke people what it means to be woke, you'll get 100 different answers. Nevertheless, opposition to wokeness has become a truly massive movement on social media, especially here on YouTube. Many creators of a variety of different backgrounds and viewpoints have consistently banded together to voice their discontent with current trends in the industry. One of those creators is this guy, AndyPants Gaming, who, as his name suggests, predominantly talks about the video game industry. A few months ago, he published a video criticizing various other YouTubers for being woke. And since I'm responding to it, you've likely guessed that I have some problems with it. However, I'm going to look at more than just this video, as quite a bit of drama happened after its release that I'd like to comment on as well. Now, I know someone is going to get on my case and say that I'm being unnecessarily mean to Andy after he already apologized for a lot of his actions, and to that I say a few things. First, considering how quickly he retracted some of his worst decisions the second his friends turned on him, I'm not up for discounting the possibility that mitigating backlash was the only thing on his mind. Second, he still stands behind the initial video that started this shit, and if that's the case, then I should be allowed to talk about it. Third, I think this could be a good learning opportunity for anyone in my audience who is considering making videos on this platform themselves, especially if they're moving into the commentary space. So I have no hesitations about making this video, even if this drama is a little old. With all that out of the way, roll the intro.
So with every new video I make now, I'm like, probably gonna get canceled after this one. Oh well, here we go.
Well, that's a little prophetic. That did happen, but not because of one of your videos.
So in this video, I want to talk about a disturbing pattern that I've begun to notice in some of our most celebrated YouTubers. I, like many people, was at one time a fan of the Act Man, Skill Up, and Bellular. But as time has gone on, I've noticed a pretty upsetting trend in the content of all three of these guys. Have you noticed these three creators never call anything woke? And if they do, they're making fun of you for using the term? Have you noticed they never talk about the obvious uglification of women in games the past few years? Have you noticed they never talk about the LGBTQI_7 community and how they basically run video games right now? Have you noticed they never point out obvious racism against white people? In fact, they'll often say lies like racism against white people isn't possible. Have you noticed none of them ever talk about the trillions of dollars companies make by bumping up their DEI and ESG initiatives and by putting evil woke nonsense in their games? Have you noticed they never talk about the complete removal of masculinity from video games? So why? Why are these three dudes intentionally avoiding calling out wokeness in games?
Sorry for letting that play out for a bit, but there's a lot to say here. I mentioned at the start that wokeness has a variety of different definitions depending on who you ask. And right here, Andy is giving his definition of what he considers to be woke. A woke game, to Andy, is one that has ugly female characters, excessive gayness, and an absence of masculinity. Personally, as someone who also thinks of himself as anti-woke leaning, I don't think this is a good definition at all. But regardless, this is what he means when he uses this term.
To put it simply, it's because these dudes are cucks. They're pussies. All three of these guys are definitely voting for Kamala Harris in November. I heard Endymion call him Act Man one time, and the label definitely fits. So those are the surface level reasons. I'll get to the deeper reasons in a minute. I just watched an entire Act Man video about Concord. I know, it was painful. It contained a lot of tired millennial jokes. I'm a millennial, by the way, takes one to know one. He talked a lot about low player numbers. He talked about how much money it wasted. And then when he gets to the part where you're supposed to talk about why the game failed, he just says, bad gameplay, bad character design.
Is he wrong to bring that up? Those things can absolutely tank the sales of a product. Look no further than Anthem, which was panned for its bland, repetitive gameplay and became a commercial failure as a result. You act like he's so unreasonable to suggest that these things may have hurt sales. Additionally, Act Man complaining about the character designs goes against your point of him being woke. In his video on Concord, he trashes on the designs of the female characters plenty.
Hamar looks like she got her outfit at Value Village, like she went to a thrift store. Lord. This lady looks like if Warhammer 40k created a kids show to teach infants how to count, she looks like she would be the main character. Is there even one character that doesn't look like dog shit?
Come on, let's go!
He even called them ugly, the exact word you used to call them woke.
There's just nothing visually appealing about any of these characters. If you look at them, they're just all horrendously ugly, or they have like
Why do you suppose Act Man doesn't talk about the fact that Concord has 3 black females in it and not a single white man?
Because that's not the reason why the game sold poorly. There have been several video games with female and non-white leads throughout the history of the medium that saw success. It's ridiculous to assume that this is why Concord failed.
Why do you suppose he doesn't talk about all the LGBTQ+ activists on Twitter who worked on the game?
Because he wanted to focus on the game? Like, I don't know about you, but when I click on a video about a video game, it's because I'd like to learn about the game, not the politics of the creators.
Interesting. He even at one point in the video makes fun of the idea that bigger breasts would save this game. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, dude. Is that idea so ridiculous?
You know what, Andy? I completely agree. You know who else agrees? The Act Man.
Either make it cool or make it sexy. It's not hard.
Now, regarding the pot shot.
I don't think tits could have saved this game though, fellas.
Throughout Act Man's entire video, he points out several reasons as to why the game failed, the ugly characters only being one of them. His point is that Concord suffered from so many problems that even fixing this one wouldn't have been enough to salvage the game.
You'll notice similar things when watching cucks like SkillUp and Bellular analyze Concord. Why do you suppose these guys spend 30 minutes talking about the gameplay and not 1 minute talking about how a huge reason the game failed is because the characters are fat and ugly?
Are you seriously complaining that game reviewers are focusing more on gameplay than aesthetics? Gameplay is a core aspect of any video game. If it's not enjoyable to play, then no amount of attractive characters is gonna save it. Additionally, gameplay flaws are far more complex and may not be evident upon simply watching footage. Meanwhile, Concord's characters are pretty clearly unappealing just from looking at them. There's not much explaining that needs to be done.
So I used to think these 3 guys were just missing details. I used to give them the benefit of the doubt. But as I've watched their content on a consistent basis, I've realized these dudes are so deep in the gay communist agenda, they can't even criticize it anymore. Basically, you've got incredibly evil companies like Activision who support pedophilia and Satanism.
They support pedophilia and Satanism. Hey guys, do you think Andy is going to show evidence for these serious claims?
Now, do you think they're going to give a YouTuber like me, who calls them out on a consistent basis, a sneak peek and a tour of the studio? Of course not.
Agreed, but they're probably not giving Act Man's SkillUp and Bellular one either, given their videos about the company.
They want a shill. They want an empty shill like SkillUp who won't bring up the woke stuff.
But they can bring up their rampant sexual misconduct?
They want somebody who will be an empty mouthpiece and they can just pour talking points into them while they regurgitate them out. Act Man is indeed good at playing an act. He's good at appearing natural and looking like he's riffing. The reality is he's reading a careful script that has definitely been run by his handlers at Activision and Bungie and other DEI departments.
Citation desperately needed.
Again, notice these guys never mention BlackRock, ESG, or any of the gay, communist, globalist.
I hope you step in a puddle with socks on.
I found this article on screen here about Bellular that was definitely interesting. It basically talks about how he's been given insider interviews and gets to see deep behind-the-scenes information about upcoming World of Warcraft games. But part of his ability to get that info is to continue to be a corporate shill for Activision and parrot the talking points they want.
Okay, so let's take a bit of a detour from Andy's video and talk about this article. It's on a website called Wolfshead Online, and this doesn't prove your point. Here's what the article goes over. Bellular obtained an interview with Holly Longdale about an, at the time, upcoming World of Warcraft expansion called The War Within. The article then asserts that if Bellular had been more critical of Holly Longdale's advocacy for LGBT representation in video games, then he likely would not have gotten this interview. Alright, here's a point that I realized only while editing this together. Somebody is probably going to bring up this line from Andy's video that I played not too long ago.
Now, do you think they're going to give a YouTuber like me, who calls them out on a consistent basis, a sneak peek and a tour of the studio? Of course not.
So, does this prove Andy right? No, it doesn't. This interview had neither exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming content nor any studio tours, as Andy said. Longdale just talks about her game design philosophy and how she works with others. Nothing was said about the game itself. The article then takes a hard pivot into a controversy that Bellular got himself into in early 2024 regarding a video he made covering developments within the game's journalist outlet Kotaku. I originally had several paragraphs worth of text going into more detail about this, including where I felt Bellular fucked up, because he did. But then I realized something. None of it actually matters. How the hell does Bell defending Kotaku relate to him getting an interview with someone who works for Activision? It's not as if Kotaku never does reporting that makes Activision look bad, so they're clearly not biased in their favor. In fact, they're blacklisted by most of the game industry. These are two completely different topics, yet the article tries to lazily link them together for the sake of the writer's political narrative. Speaking of lazy,
he's a good little sheep and never asks about DEI or ESG. This is why even if they wanted to, Act Man, Bellular, and SkillUp can't talk about the woke agenda. These low-T beta men.
I hope your soft food has a crunchy bit in it.
Sure, they can have complaints about gameplay and too many microtransactions and stuff like that, but you will never hear these guys complaining about why women are so ugly in video games now, because they're good corporate servants.
This is such a stupid conspiracy. Why would a company that was secretly paying reviewers be perfectly fine with said reviewers talking about how absolutely broken and predatory their games are, but then draw the line when it comes to them trashing their ugly character designs?
One mistake I think a lot of people make is thinking that just because these guys will say a game is terrible, they must be objective. Not so. A journalist or content creator is not judged by their ability to say a game is bad. They're judged by their ability to be able to breach any topic. The fact that these creators have never talked about DEI, ESG, and the woke propaganda indicates to me either A, they're censoring their real thoughts, or B, these guys are the propaganda machines themselves.
Okay, they can't talk about these topics because they're bought out. Got it. I'll write that down in my notepad. And that's where my coverage of this video ends. You're probably wondering why I've decided to stop halfway through the video, but the rest of Andy's PSA actually consists of stuff that I sort of agree with, so I won't refute it. He talks about how most of the wokeness in games is inserted by the game developers themselves. You know, the creatives, and that the higher-ups of these companies don't really care about anything beyond turning a profit. I agree with this. Andy then goes on to explain that if gamers stop buying woke games, then the higher-ups will see their profits are declining and fire the creatives responsible for this. I agree with the logic of this, though I'm personally not convinced that this stuff is viewed as an inherent problem for most of the gaming community. I suppose we'll find out for sure in the next decade or so.
Is anybody in there?
So that's the video. My thoughts? Andy makes a lot of bold claims about these YouTubers, and his evidence is either bad or non-existent. In the case of Act Man in particular, he seemed less woke after I fact-checked what Andy was saying. Andy absolutely failed to do what he set out to. However, that's not where this story ends. 9 days after posting this video, AndyPants said something on Twitter. The tweet has since been deleted, and I couldn't find an archive. And I tried to, damn it. I really did. I'm assuming it was something about the Act Man, though, as this led to a brief Twitter spat between the two of them.
Yo dude, DM me. My DMs are open. Would love to chat sometime, live stream or off stream, recorded or not recorded. I love the content you make, and I'm not being sarcastic. I think the satire is immaculate, and I love it.
There's no satire here, brother. But often, when the woke mind virus has taken someone over, they think my content is satire. I'll be on from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow if you'd like to discuss or debate me.
Bro, you are a fucking legend for keeping the act up. You have fooled so many retards. I am genuinely impressed. Keep up the good work. This shit is so entertaining.
Stop being a beta cuck and come to my channel then.
Well, fortunately for Andy, he did in fact get his wish. The very next day, Act Man showed up on Andy's channel for the debate of the century. Before we get into the debate, does anybody remember this?
A journalist or content creator is not judged by their ability to say a game is bad. They're judged by their ability to be able to breach any topic.
So, if Act Man is participating in this debate, demonstrating his willingness to breach this topic, then doesn't that mean he's actually a good journalist? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Is Derek really going to cover the entire hour-long conversation? No, of course not. But I will go over some highlights so you can get a general idea of how it went. The first notable moment is when Andy confronts Act Man about the NexusMods Starfield controversy. Starfield is a video game released in 2023, and it attracted some controversy over giving players the option to select pronouns for their customizable characters. This resulted in heavy backlash from anti-woke activists.
Fucking pronouns!
Somebody created a mod that removed this option from the game and posted it to the modding database website NexusMods. The people who run the website then removed it from their platform. During this controversy, the Act Man tweeted that this was misinformation, before promptly getting hit by Twitter's Community Notes fact-checking service.
This is false. NexusMods is not working to delete mods that remove pronouns from Starfield. It's really telling how manufactured most of the outrage is when so much of it just straight up lies.
This is actually true. Quote, if we think someone is uploading a mod to our site with the intent to deliberately be against inclusivity and/or diversity, then we will take action against it.
The next day, Act Man gave a retraction to his previous statement.
Community notes came for me, and they are right. I was wrong. I thought the moderator in the screenshot was saying they weren't working on deleting or taking down these kinds of mods from the site, but that is not the case.
So Act Man spread misinformation and corrected himself when he found out he was wrong. Personally, I think this shows positive character, but I guess Andy disagrees because he brought it up for absolutely no good reason.
And then there was a clarification note that said, from NexusMods, that said, this is actually true. If we think someone is uploading a mod on our site with intent to deliberately be against inclusivity or diversity, then we will take action against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the absolute silence from Andy over this. It's like he thought this was a smoking gun, and then he has to desperately scramble for a better reason to bring this up when he realizes that Act Man isn't going to deny that he was wrong when he posted that.
So
you think this is some kind of like gotcha? Like,
I mean,
when I get to mistakes, like.
So do you not see the double standard that people are allowed to put like gay stuff in there, but aren't allowed to remove it?
Are you talking about NexusMods double standard?
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, they're an independent company, aren't they? So they're allowed to do what they want. Of course, there might be a double standard there, but there's also the idea that no matter what they choose, they're going to piss some group of people off, right? If they allow mods like that, they're going to piss off one group, but if they take them down, they're going to piss off the other. So it's really a no-win situation for them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of up to people's own interpretations.
Wait a minute. If the point of this debate was to prove that Act Man was a woke propagandist, and here Act Man is explaining that he would have understood a decision to leave the mod up, then isn't that more evidence that he's not trying to push wokeness in games? You brought this up only to have him rip up the portrait you painted of him.
Yeah, I believe I corrected that mistake that I made. Maybe a quote retweet or something. So if that's all that can't be all the ammo you have. Surely you've got something stronger.
Oh, no. My other question is, does the fence ever hurt? Do the splinters ever hurt from sitting on the fence?
I hope your spoon falls into your cereal bowl. Skipping ahead again, this argument also caught my attention.
So, here's my next question.
You think so little of me.
Given that LGBT are a tiny 3% of the population, is it strange at all to you that their depravity is being pushed in 100% of games now?
I'm not entirely sure what Andy means here by their depravity, but if you would like to know why gay people are 3% of the population yet represented in a higher percentage of video games, not only can I explain that, I can show it. Imagine that I draft a list of 100 video games, each of them with 10 characters. This means that between all of these games, there are 1,000 characters. 3% of those characters are gay, so 30 total. I ran a random number generator to determine which games get a gay character dropped in them. For example, if the generator draws a 73, that means game 73 will have one of their characters be gay. I kept going until I had drawn 30 random numbers, then I looked at what percent of the games had gay representation, which ended up being a quarter of them. The point that I'm making with this tangent is that the percentage of games that a group of people is represented in will almost always be higher than that group's percent in the population. The only way that this could be avoided is if I segregate all the gay characters into their own games. No straights and gays in the same title. Skipping ahead again, we get to the most hilarious part of the debate. Get ready for this one.
Somebody on your server actually called a black person a monkey.
Wow, no way.
No.
One person in my fucking Discord server said something racist once? Oh my god. Oh my god, he's so based. Are you for real, bro? Are you for real? Don't come at me with this fucking weak shit.
Andy, what the fuck, dude? You're really gonna try and cancel him because some loser in his Discord server called someone a slur? Really now?
No. And look, I will be the first person to say that there's stuff on my Discord that happens that I don't know about. My only point in saying this is that there's nobody more racist than leftists like you.
Is Act Man a radical leftist pushing propaganda to his woke audience, or is he trying to play both sides by never committing to a position? Because what you're saying here makes me think it's the former, but throughout this entire debate you've been saying he's the latter. Which is it, dude? He can't be both. And that's all I care to cover. There were other embarrassing moments, every single one of them on Andy's end to be clear, but the problems with them are so obvious that I didn't feel the need to comment on them. I'll let someone else do that work if they wish. So, final thoughts? This debate made Andy look like a moron. He failed to make any decent point against anything the Act Man said, either because he's not able to or too lazy to. Instead, what you get is Andy asking Act Man the most ridiculous questions or accusing him of being a grifter. Or woke. Whatever he feels like calling him in the moment. There's some comedy value to be found if you enjoy a good train wreck, but as an actual debate, What a fucking joke. And I'm not the only one who felt this way. Pretty much immediately after the debate was over, Andy was already getting flack for his poor performance. The backlash was so immense that he age-restricted the video so it would have a harder time spreading around, disabled ratings, and closed the comments section. Fortunately for those who still wanted a place to talk about the debate, Act Man came to save the day and uploaded the exchange on his channel. Oh no. Andy. You didn't.
Honey, you got a big storm coming.
You're going to be fine, Alex. Act Man just didn't clip the interview. He reposted the entire thing. That is also a clear YouTube violation. Cope.
I hope you forget to roll up your sleeves next time you wash your hands.
Content creators reposting content that they also create is not a violation of YouTube's policies or fair use.
Adding on to the point from community notes, you would only be allowed to copyright strike the video if you and Act Man had an agreement in advance that only you could have the debate on your channel. But not only did you not do this, you actually said the opposite before he joined your stream.
Hopefully it's mutually beneficial. He can use me for content. I can use him for content. It's fine.
And don't think Act Man didn't know that either.
You brain-dead, schizophrenic, spineless fucking coward of a man. You said in the debate we could both use it for content. When you record a debate with someone, both creators can host it on their channels. That's how this works. You are 41 years old and don't know shit.
So at this point, the backlash is building to such an extreme level that even other anti-woke YouTubers are speaking up in defense of Act Man, including people who don't even like him.
By the way, the thing that pisses me off the most is I'm in a position where I have to defend the Act Man. I can't stand the Act Man, and I am in a position where I have to defend this clown because AndyPants Gaming is such a coward and such a pathetic chameleon that I have to defend the Act Man.
And, what is Andy doing during all this? Spamming a bunch of tweets like this. Wonderful. But it seems like all the negative attention did, in fact, get to him, as later that day, the claim was retracted.
Been a long time, comrade.
I retracted my request. My logic was, why is he re-uploading my entire video? He should be linking to mine. But I learned today it's a pretty big deal. I'm new to all of this. Apologies.
Andy, you're such a liar, and a bad one at that. For those unaware, Andy used to have another channel called Andy Xbox, where he made, well, Xbox fanboy content. All the videos on that channel have been removed, but his community posts where he links to his current channel are still there, so if you need proof this was him, there you go. He is absolutely not new to all this. While I'm glad to see that you removed the copyright strike, the fact that you're still lying, even in your apology, really puts the sincerity of it into question. This was a pretty stupid lie too, since Act Man was well aware of your old channel, as he told you in the debate.
Go down to Andy's Xbox channel and look at all the undeleted community posts he has sucking off Starfield.
And to top it all off, Andy posted a screenshot from his Discord server to his Twitter.
Hey guys, so I was working on crafting another hilarious video, just ready to absolutely torch Act Man and bring up every shady thing he's ever done. And then I thought, this is fucking gay. Drama is gay. It really is. I didn't start a queer drama channel. I started a channel to expose the woke cancer. So message me privately if you want me to make a video explaining why anything and everything that Act Man said about me was either false or taken out of context, and I will only share that video with people who actually care. But I'm done responding to this dude, because internet drama is gay as hell. It's time to move on with my life, and make some videos about games.
And so, from now until the end of time, Andy would refrain from talking shit about the Act Man, leaving behind petty YouTube drama to focus on the stuff that really matters. The game.
So a few weeks ago, I had the Act Man on my stream to have a casual chat about wokeness in video games. He denied that women in games are becoming uglier. He denied that games are becoming less masculine. And he denied that games are becoming more woke.
Yeah, never mind. This video was Andy's coming out story. I'm not going to respond to this video, except for one thing that really caught my attention.
A few days later, he made a video making fun of the idea that there was wokeness in games and got absolutely bodied by his followers.
Wow, that is a lot of dislikes. I wonder why Andy doesn't show the number of likes, though. Let me check something. Oh, Actman's video only had 18% dislikes. Oh, Andy was being dishonest again. What a fucking shocker. I really cannot believe that Andy lied again. I'm done. Let's wrap this up. Andy, you need to learn how to actually engage in honest discourse. Throughout all of this drama, the one pattern I noticed is that you're constantly lying or taking things out of context. You lied about Act Man thinking Concord's character designs were fine. You lied about 3 different YouTubers being paid by Activision. You couldn't get your stories straight about Actman's real intentions on his platform. You pretended like you were new to the YouTube game in an attempt to suppress backlash. And, if the last clip I showed was any indication, you've shown that you're gonna continue lying in your future videos. I don't know why you think this shit isn't gonna keep biting you in the ass in the future, but I'll tell you right now, it will. I understand that people like Actman are saying things you strongly disagree with, but if you're serious about having a discussion with them, then you need to actually listen to the things they say rather than strawmanning their position and taking potshots at them. There was a moment in your debate with Actman that actually came close to this. You confronted him about his Payday 3 scandal. For those unaware, this was a drama Actman got into about a year before this debate. He was invited to a pre-release event by the developers of Payday 3, and he made a video praising the game and telling everyone to buy it, only for the game to be broken at launch. While you were very snarky about it at the beginning, you did go on to ask the question in earnest, and when he provided his side of the story, you took the information in and even showed appreciation for him explaining himself.
And so I went into that with the impression that, okay, you know, I'm gonna post this video, I'm leaving for a trip, and I'm gonna post this video before I leave, and I hope it doesn't turn into a shit show. And I feel like if I do have serious regrets about that, because if I had just done a better job in the intro of saying like, hey, the game is not out yet, this, you know, please wait for reviews, I wish I had done that. Yeah, you know, repentance, we all have to repent, you know, for our mistakes and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah,
you're a religious man, aren't you?
I am, and I appreciate that because several people had brought that up to me, and it's good for you to hear an explanation for it.
It was actually a pretty cool moment from you. It's just too bad that you went back to your usual shtick immediately after. Regardless, I wish you the best, and I hope that you take my advice.